Hello everyone, today, I will tell you how to determine the amount of water that we need to consume during the day. Many people know that you need to drink 8 glasses of water a day, but no one knows where this formula came from, or whether it has any scientific basis. The truth is that we are all different, and our need for water depends on what conditions we live in, so it is not entirely reasonable to focus on a certain amount, say, 8 glasses a day, or 2 liters of water daily. For example, water consumption may be affected by factors such as a person's gender, height, weight, intensity of physical activity, climate, physical condition, such as whether they are ill, or have chronic diarrhea. In other words, a lot of factors can affect our water needs, and, in order for us to understand how to determine our individual water needs, I will tell you about where our water in the body comes from, and how it is released. We take 20% of our body's water from food, and 80% from liquids. Liquid receptions can be anything from plain water, and even ending with tea and coffee. That is, contrary to popular belief, that caffeine-containing products contribute to dehydration. Recent studies have shown that this has not been confirmed, and, in principle, even caffeinated beverages can serve as a good source of water replenishment. Of course, beer can also serve as a source of water replenishment, but given that it carries an unfavorable alcohol load, we will not consider it here as a means of hydration. It is believed that if we drink water, then in 1 hour we digest about 1 liter. How water is released from our body. The first, with the help of the skin, it can either evaporate without forming sweat, or you can just sweat and release a large amount of water. In addition, water is released when breathing. The third route of excretion is urine. Kidneys. Everything is clear here. Healthy kidneys can compensate for up to 80% of the incoming fluid within 1 hour. Finally, a small amount may be excreted in the feces through the gastrointestinal tract. It is clear that sweating is the most variable way to remove water. If a person lives in the north and is cold, it is unlikely that he will sweat, and quite the opposite if we are talking about people who live in southern countries, or who work in production associated with high temperatures, or athletes who train for endurance and who can lose from 2 to 4 liters per hour with sweat. The regulation of water balance in our body is mainly carried out by 2 hormones, vasopressin, or antidiuretic hormone, and aldosterone. Vasopressin is produced in the posterior pituitary gland. It is released in response to changes in the concentration of salts in our blood. The hypothalamus has special sensors that detect the concentration of salt in our blood. If the salt concentration increases, the body perceives this as a lack of fluid, immediately increases the level of vasopressin. Vasopressin acts on the kidneys, and the kidneys begin to take more water from the urine. That is, the urine becomes more concentrated. They saturate it with metabolic products. Excess water is absorbed back into the body. The second mechanism of water balance regulation is activation of the sympathetic nervous system, the system that produces epinephrine and norepinephrine. As soon as there is an increase in the concentration of salts in our body, the sympathetic nervous system is immediately activated. This leads to the fact that the salivary glands stop producing liquid secretions, the saliva becomes viscous, and the mouth dries up. That is, it also stimulates our drinking behavior. And the third mechanism is, when the level of circulating fluid decreases, our pressure drops a little. Once the pressure drops, the sensors that are located on the vessels, in particular on the carotid arteries and on the aortic arch, send signals that lead to an increase in the production of angiotensin II. This is an enzyme that activates the production of aldosterone. This is a hormone that retains sodium in our body. After sodium, water is returned to the body for the second time, another way through which stimulates the absorption of water. It's a stimulation of the thirst center. The thirst center is stimulated, and we have a signal in the brain that we are thirsty. And for most people, such mechanisms of water balance regulation are quite sufficient to not to be dehydrated, that is, not to lose water and not to drink it in excess. For those who do not rely on their own sense of thirst, there is a very objective method that allows you to judge whether you have enough water in your body or not. First, you just need to look at the color of your urine. Normally, in a person with sufficient water intake, the color of the urine should be light yellow, and if the urine darkens, this is a sign that there is not enough water in the body. So the urine is concentrated. It's time to drink water, even if you're not thirsty. The second way to determine whether you need to drink water or not is to simply drink 0.7 liters of water on an empty stomach. Normally, if a person's body is not dehydrated, then after 30-40 minutes the urge to urinate should follow. If this urge does not occur, urine is not released, then your body is dehydrated. Drink water. These rules are universal, very simple, and do not require a laboratory. That is, please use it for your health. The risk of dehydration, that is, a decrease in the amount of water in the body, is mainly present in children. For example, with vomiting, with diarrhea, in infectious patients, in patients with high fever, as they need to drink more for thermoregulation. The risk of dehydration exists in the elderly. Their mechanisms of water balance regulation are disrupted, that is, they may feel thirsty be absent, despite the fact that the body is dehydrated. The sick and elderly need to really take enforcement measures in order to hydrate the body. That is, this rule is just right here, to drink 8 glasses of water a day. You definitely won't lose here. Water intoxication is very rare. It doesn't occur in healthy people. It occurs only in people with renal insufficiency, with hepatic insufficiency and heart failure. Usually, such people know about their diseases and are monitored by doctors, so we will not talk about them here. Regarding athletes, there is a very high risk of dehydration during long competitions, such as a marathon, triathlon, or bike race. For many hours of intensive work in a hot climate, the human body can lose from 2 to 4 liters of water per hour with sweat, while we can only absorb 1 liter per hour. In other words, we see an imbalance here. No matter how much we drink, even if we force a person to drink 3 liters of water at once, it still does not suck more than 1 liter per hour, and he can sweat so that he stands out 2 or 3 liters. In other words, there will be a negative balance. This is the first side of the coin, and the second side is that with intense sweating, sodium is lost with sweat. 1 liter of sweat contains approximately 2 grams of sodium. It is easy to calculate that if you spend, for example, 1 liter of sweat per hour, then we will lose 2 grams of sodium every hour. That is, you have ridden a bicycle for 5 hours at a competition, and already you have minus 10 grams of sodium. Therefore, endurance athletes should drink special salt solutions or isotonics if their training lasts more than 1 hour. There is another category of people who need to monitor their water consumption. These are overweight people, those people who want to lose weight. The fact is that our body sometimes does not understand whether it wants to drink or whether it wants to eat, and it is useful for such people, every time they want to eat something, to take and drink a glass or 2 glasses of water. This often helps to avoid unnecessary food intake. And the second trick that makes it easy for people to lose a few pounds completely effortlessly is if you start drinking 2 glasses of water before each meal. For a simple reason, it will fit less. We drank 2 glasses of water. This is already half a liter of volume in the stomach. You can't cram food in then. Therefore, this replacement of food with water plays a very positive role in weight loss. There are people who effortlessly, for several months, achieve weight loss even up to 10 kilograms, exclusively with the help of water, without changing their basic food habits. To sum up what I said, just focus on your feeling of thirst. Be sure to look at the color of your urine. Do not allow it to be dark. There are no upper and lower limits on water consumption. Be guided by the signs that I have told you about. If you feel good, you feel good. Thank you very much for watching and listening to the end. Subscribe.